I hope you don't get the sickness.
My boy Kurt is a stay-at-home dad, watching Disney movies he never had. His daughter digs through all the VHS, crushing the classics in a princess dress. Informed like Scuttle, Kurt's got your ticket, making it real like Jiminy Cricket. Most off the Captain Hook, but if the Tweedledum, he'll be taking more shots than Bambi's mom. Leaves him raised like Simba, or cracked like the beast dishes. He'll show you a whole new world, you won't need 3 wishes. Stay-at-home Disney dad.
I've been sleeping on this one a while. Atlantis. Out of the bin and into the VCR. I'm always curious if any of these like more adulty Disney movies were reactionary. Like what happened this year where Disney was like, no talking animals. We need a serious movie with humans, people. Whatever the reason, this is Atlantis, the Lost Empire, where a lot of shit gets blown up and backs get stabbed over the course of 90 minutes. Again, Atlantis. Why wasn't the story of Atlantis told through the eyes of musical seals or sassy dolphins? Why suddenly am I forced to digest this story through Sin City-esque animation? Regardless, let's press play. We open with the city of Atlantis, and it's suddenly under attack, and the Atlanteans are scrambling, but this magical white light grabs a young woman and separates her from her daughter. Her toddler hand is literally pried away from her mom's hand as tears stream down her face, and mom gets sucked into the sky, and I don't like this movie. We cut to the Smithsonian Institute where Milo is giving a lecture about Atlantis to a room of shadowed students. But nope, surprise, the students are actually mops, and Milo... pause. Okay, Google. Michael J. Fox. I couldn't place that voice nor get past it. We continue. Milo explains how researchers gave up looking for Atlantis thinking it was below Ireland, but claims they deciphered the texts incorrectly. Atlantis is actually under Iceland. He's practicing in a closet, preparing to give this speech to his superiors, hoping they'll finally fund his expedition, but instead his meeting is canceled at the last second, and the professors actually run away, like out of the building, to get away from Milo. A defeated Milo chases after them and is told to his face finally that his expedition will never get funded. The fed-up professors drive away, leaving a shell of Milo standing there in defeat. But what's better than an expedition to find the lost city of Atlantis? Milo is approached by a hottie with a faulty tank top strap. This is Helga, who takes Milo to meet her grandpa because her grandpa used to hang with Milo's grandpa. Stay with me here. Helga's grandpa has a gift for Milo from beyond the grave. Milo's grandpa gave Helga's grandpa a journal about Atlantis to give to Milo after Milo's grandpa, died, and then when Milo, was ready for it. Helga's grandpa has futuristic submarines and a full crew ready to go. He wants Milo to go find Atlantis, the Lost Empire, and they are off, but not before we meet the 2001 ragtag group of outcasts that will be accompanying him. We got Jebediah, a crazy old white cook who we meet throwing every unnecessary ingredient away for his cooking, like vegetables and spices. He argues with Helga and talks about whiskey, and I'm praying for him to drop the F-bomb here, just really slap the viewers in the face. But no, there's a French guy who digs like a mole. He's called, wait for it, the Mole. There's a muscular doctor, Dr. Strongbear. There's Commander Tiberius, who's in charge. There's the refined Cuban who's less Scarface, more Razor Ramon, named Vinny. And then there's the short, salty Latino girl with a big hat and bling who's probably supposed to be, let's see, 2001. Oh, J-Lo. Her name is Audrey Ramirez. Milo walks around awestruck in this giant submarine. Milo has to give the crew a PowerPoint presentation, and he bumbles all over the place. Ramirez says she used to take lunch money from guys like this. That's good stuff. Milo claims the path to Atlantis is like a grease trap in your sink. And I don't know what that looks like. They find shipwrecks all over the ocean floor, which is less than encouraging. I mean, it's not too late to turn around. Great animation of the submarine thing again, like I said. They pick up noise on the hydrophone. It sounds metallic and it's getting louder, then it stops. Then something hits the ship. Alarms, action, this is great. Helga wants torpedoes and wants them now. The sub is attacked by a giant metal machine crab robot thing. They all escape in escape pods and fire at this thing. Pods are getting blasted and crushed left, right, and center. The body count in Atlantis is adding up at an alarming rate. They, and when I say they, I mean the main characters, all somehow are the ones to make it alive to some underground cavern, like in the Grease Trap, and they see ruins everywhere. They have a sea funeral, and they set a candle floating away in a hat. They started with 200 men, they're down to 20 people. Again, luckily, it's all the main characters we already met. They all load into these weird ground vehicles and start driving forward through the ruins. Great symphony score from this point A to point B passage of time montage. Everyone keeps reminding Milo that the only thing keeping him alive now is his book. No pressure. Also, I like to think my own book, the novel I wrote and sold and is available on Amazon, is also keeping some people alive somehow. Oh man, I butchered that. That was going to be like such a good dig line. Okay, they hit a dead end and Scott Hall can't blow it up, so it's Molo's time to shine. They have to dig under it. His giant drill car fails and Ramirez is all grumpy because she just tuned it this morning, but now she has to fix the motor before they can continue. She does. They continue to follow his map book. I need to point out also the great background animation in this movie. This is all good stuff. Milo tries to get the crew excited and realizes all the crew, are just in this expedition for the money. But later that night, most of the characters bond with Milo and everyone shares their origin stories. Milo goes for a walk at night and suddenly these like lightning or light bugs swarm and legit light everything on fire. Everyone scrambles back to the slow moving vehicles and those two get engulfed in flames. As they attempt to flee the bridge collapses and the crew and all the vehicles fall into the abyss. Blackness. Then a match lights and Commander Tiberius asks, okay, whoever isn't dead, speak up. Oh, it's fun. They're now in the bowels of a volcano and it could blow any time. Suddenly Milo is apprehended by monsters, but it's actually just the Atlantean people in those like giant masks. Princess Kita removes her mask and smiles at Milo, then runs away. He chases her and he ends up in this jungle area and the rest of the crew pull up behind him and it's beautiful and lush and a completely hidden civilization. This is Atlantis, people. They speak in Atlantican and Milo talks back in Atlantican. Princess Kita, she likes that. Milo is buzzing like a kid on Christmas morning. Kita brings them to her father and the king says, you know the rules. They can't leave alive now. Tiberius speaks English to the king and the king sasses him and is like, what you seek isn't here, and calls them out on bringing weapons into their peaceful city of Atlantis. Tiberius asks if they can just stay one night so they can regroup and rest and leave in the morning. And all right, so we dissolve to the morning and they're all leaving and waving goodbye and that's that. Just kidding. Come on. Kita hopes these strangers can unlock the secrets of the past so they can move forward as Atlanticans. Faulty tank top wearing Helga is also wearing black gloves and that's unnerving for some reason. They send Milo to go talk to Kita and see if they can work something out where they can like stay for a bit. Milo is practicing what he's going to ask her and she jumps him from behind and is like, come with me. She makes fun of his small stature. Sorry, bud. Ouch. He asks her how they got there. We get the backstory of how when she was a little girl, the sky went dark and the city moved underground and the giant floating light above the city took her mom, all that. She asks how Milo and those guys found the place and he shows her the book. She goes nuts and is like, you can read this? And he realizes none of the Atlanticans can actually read Atlantis. Game changer. She shows him this flying vehicle that no one can get going. He reads the instructions and uses her crystal necklace thing and fires it up. They go rock climbing. She's wearing a skirt and he's below her while they're rock climbing. I'll bet his book seems dumb right now. They climb to the top of the mountain and look out over the lost city and Milo sheds a tear. The Atlanteans are a happy, peaceful people. She takes him to this wall of ancient writing to decipher. She practically undresses in front of him and says, let's go for a swim. And Milo strips down to his boxers and that's always playing a dangerous game here. They swim together and she shows him this underwater disc that has the entire history of Atlantis written on it. She wants to know what the star in the middle of the city means, and it's the heart of Atlantis. It wasn't a star, it was the crystal, like the one around her neck. The Atlanteans, are what's keeping Atlantis alive. He surfaces to tell everyone the good news, and all his crew are waiting there with guns drawn. Uh-oh, Milo has been set up. This was just a treasure hunt for them. They're the bad guys. They try to grab Kita by her hair, and she starts kicking everyone's ass, but Tiberius fires a shot into the air, and she stops dead in her tracks. He just wants the crystal, and Milo is like, if you take the crystal or the crystals, the Atlanteans will die, and everyone else seems completely okay with that. Tiberius points out that, hey, if a museum gave away all their artifacts, it would be empty. They put a gun to Kita's head and make Milo help them find the heart of Atlantis. The scriptures say it flies in the heart of the king. They go to the king, and the king says it's going to destroy them, so they assault the king, and the is escalating. Tiberius cocks his gun and says, you have until 10. 1, 2, 9. And then the king surrenders and shows them. They get lowered into this underground lair and there's a collection of spinning floating rocks with faces on. Show me what you got. It's the kings of their past. Kita drops and prays and Tiberius looks at her bored and says, tell her to wrap it up to Milo. Oh, this is pretty dark for a Disney movie. I love it! Kita's necklace starts glowing and floating. Tiberius tells Milo to move it. He says, I don't know how to move it. Where's reel to reel when you need them? Reel to reel, they knew how to move it. Kita is suddenly, don't laugh at that, Kita is suddenly possessed by the kings of the past. This is all great stuff. Animation, music, this is all solid Disney gold. Kita goes into a trance and floats up into the spinning heads. The music reminds me of when you're waiting in line for some of the higher end Disney rides and they're playing like that symphony score that sounds familiar but you've never heard it before. Kita lands back down and she's been turned into like a transparent water being thing and starts floating back towards the party. So they lock her in a crate because she has become the crystal. So they are stealing her. Milo congratulates them. Good job. You'll all be rich after wiping out an entire race. He's trying to make them all feel bad. Tiberius is like, what am I forgetting? He starts counting on his fingers and says, oh yeah, and he turns and he punches Milo right in the face and they leave him there to die with the Atlanteans. I did not see that coming and I love this movie. But then the feel-good music swells and one by one, all the crew except Tiberius and Helga get off the truck and stand beside Milo in solidarity. They don't want the Atlanteans to die after all. I mean, okay, they chose death instead of being rich right at the buzzer. I mean, I know there's a lesson here, but come on. The king is in bad shape. He has internal bleeding. He's going to die. Razor Ramon blows up the bridge. The dying king says, Kita has been chosen just like it chose her mother when it was in danger the first time. Whenever it's in danger, it chooses one noble person to protect it, and she had the lineage. In the past, it got too strong, and that's what destroyed Atlantis. That's why they kept it hidden underground and isolated. There's a lot there. The king begs Milo to return the crystal, save Atlantis, and save his daughter. All right, Alex P. Keaton, you going to be the hero or the Milo gets his game face on, he uses a crystal and starts a bunch of those flying hovercraft robotic lantern fish things for everyone to ride, and it is go time. Tiberius is inflating his airship, just like the Great Mouse Detective, just like in Teddy Ruxpin. Tiberius and his men have like Gatling guns on their airship and they're shooting at Milo and the crew. The flight scene is great. Helga and Tiberius are shooting at them and her strap keeps slipping. Milo jumps off and grabs onto the balloon thing. They're losing altitude because of Milo. They need to lighten the loader. They're going to crash. So Tiberius picks up Helga and tosses her off. Faulty tank top and all. Milo gets to Tiberius, who starts kicking the crap out of him. They're fighting on the airship. Helga hangs below the airship and shoots the balloon atop the airship to pop it, and the airship starts free falling. Tiberius accidentally hammers open the crate with Kita inside. Milo grabs a piece of the crystal. He stabs him with it, and he like freezes over. Great death scene. He's like a screaming ice energy zombie. Milo and the crate hit the ground, but the burning airship is about to fall on them, so he rolls the crate down the hill and dives out of the way. Now the volcano they are in becomes active. Did I mention that all this takes place inside a volcano? I can't remember if I did or not, but I did. But if I didn't, they're in a volcano because that's important. Great animations. They race the lava and drag the Kita crate back to the heart of Atlantis. The lava is coming quickly and Milo pops open the crate and Kita emerges and the ice energy stuff radiates and the floating rocks go back up and everything as it was, is as it was. No, giants rise up from the water and create a force field around Atlantis, and that saves everyone from the lava. I kind of jumped the gun on that whole everything being as it was thing. But now everything is back as it was. Kita is back to normal. Her and Milo embrace, more like waiting in line for soaring music plays. End scene, everyone is getting on an Atlantean ship to be taken to the surface. One by one, the crew say goodbye to Milo. Milo wants to stay in Atlantis. Well, of course he does. Back at the old man Whitmore's mansion, the survivors are all dressed in super fancy clothes, covered in jewelry, and they're like telling him with a straight face that they didn't find any money. And Milo, Helga, and Tiberius are all dead. Whitmore gets a letter from Milo. It has a small piece of crystal, and Whitmore is excited. Back in Atlantis, they christen the floating heads back up into the air. I'm sure there's some well put together Atlantean lore that I missed while typing my notes. But the movie ends with a wide shot of a healthy Atlantis as the heads spin peacefully above the city. We end with the title Atlantis, the Lost Empire, and then relaxed pop music plays over the credits. Yeah! Atlantis, the Lost Empire. Great movie. Excellent movie. I'm not sure it's a great Disney movie though, you know what I mean? I loved it, but if it didn't have the Disney logo on it, I wouldn't believe this is a Disney release. No animals, no romance, no songs. Good for them.
That's what I think about.
What do you think?
What we have is a concern about Curtis Anderson. His interviewing style is not the best. His personal appearance is not the best. I was wondering if the man has some kind of a hold over the channel that that he's allowed to be employed for so long with the standards of journalism and personal appearance that he has. Thank you.